You are non-raised juke joint. This is the Pickoff Show. I hope you guys enjoyed the Fair Catch crew earlier today at 1 o'clock. They covered the Rams and the Bears game where the Bears were victorious. But you are here with Ray the Barber, and you're here with Suited Force, aka Eric, aka my guy. What's going on, E?
Hey, buddy. Doing all right. I'm a little annoyed today as I'm part of that big Verizon blackout that's going out across the country, so my phone don't work.
Oh, shoot, you got the SOS shit going, huh?
Yeah. For hours
AT&T
now.
people.
For hours.
Yeah, it happened to the AT&T people earlier this year. I don't know what's going on with that. That's kind of fucking crazy. But a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you lose signal for all of your customers is fucking insane.
Dude, you should have seen it. So I thought maybe it was just this tower. So I drove over to the store and there's like six other I would say like business professionals walking in. They basically had a FU sign on the door that says we can't do nothing, like kick rocks.
For real? They say,
yeah.
Don't even
I kind of thought maybe it was my phone. Maybe I did something. Maybe I dropped it right, or who knows, right? But
yeah.
No.
Don't even think about coming over here.
Don't even think about coming in here. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see it.
We don't have anything for you, you bitch.
Right. We can't help you. Stop complaining to us.
Yeah, so I mean, on the heels of this crazy ass fucking basically playoff game today, where the Mets came back and won. The Mets came back and won. Was it 8-7?
8-7.
Was it 8-7? Well, Lindor smacked a fucking 2-run bomb in the top of the ninth, so that was just insane. They were up.
It was going to be like a boring game, right? 3-0 through 7. Your boy was shoving.
My guy Swelly, he pitched his ass off, and I enjoyed every minute of him pitching his ass off.
He did. I didn't care for the Manor decision to bring him back in the 8th. I know you're trying to save some guys if you win, but you got to win first. And I like giving the reliever the clean 8th there, or whatever, instead of having him come on with 2 guys in, 2 guys on. But, I mean, yeah. And then all of a sudden the game just, blew up. They scored 6. They're down 3. Braves come back. Albies ain't getting enough credit. He's a switch hitter. But he can't swing from the left side right now. So he's going right on right today and hits a home run and a bases clearing double, right on right.
It's pretty fucking amazing. Just to watch, that's just a primer of what's to come with this right here. This is the wild card. This is the wild card schedule. I mean, we're going to have some great baseball starting tomorrow. I mean, we got some serious contenders going on. We got Detroit versus Houston. We got KC versus Baltimore. We're going to see who it is against Milwaukee and San Diego. It's just going to be a good time. Tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. This is just playoff baseball. They're playoff anything, playoff football, playoff basketball, whatever. It's just a different level of competition, and these guys just know it. They just show up.
Different. Everybody's turned up, right? They play the game a little bit different in playoffs versus regular season. You get aces against aces and best bullpen options and all that stuff.
Speaking of which, who pitches? Who are you tabbing for Milwaukee game 1?
Yeah, they're probably. I think they'll probably throw. Who went Thursday?
I don't know.
They don't have a true ace, right? They're kind of a weird deal.
I'm thinking they're going to go.
The pitcher from Tampa will be in the rotation. Clave for sure.
Yes, Savale and
Freddie will probably go, right?
Who?
They'll probably throw Freddie, I would guess.
They'll probably go Freddie. It's either Freddie or Savale, in my opinion. And then who's going with San Diego? You think it's going to be King, or is it going to be Cease? Game 1.
I think they're going to go Cease game 1. I mean, but I'll tell you something else who's underrated there in San Diego is late deal was Musgrove.
Right. The last 2 months, he's just been nails. He's been nails. Yeah. I agree with you. It might even be Musgrove. We're going to see it probably in the first thing
They
in the
might
morning.
go Cease Musgrove 1-2, and then King or Darvish, now that he's back a little bit, kind of in the wings. But I would be surprised if it ain't Cease Musgrove 1-2 or vice versa.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then who's going KC1? That's Reagan's.
Yeah, I mean, how about the top of the sheet? You got Skubal against Valdez, right?
Yep, Skubal against Valdez, yes, for sure. And then you got Reagan's versus Burns. So, that's just the that's just the minutia of.
I feel bad for
love.
Baltimore. I might end up regretting this, but I know we're live and people can throw us back on me. But I feel bad for Baltimore. I just don't think they did enough in the starting pitching to separate themselves.
Well, come on. Let's just be honest. They lost Rodriguez, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had enough. But at the trade deadline, they knew those guys weren't coming back, right? They knew. They lost Means. They lost Rodriguez. They lost somebody else.
Well, they was Kramer is back.
Kramer's back.
Kramer's back.
Yeah, but they lost
did lose
one other starter. I was trying
to
think
of.
They
lost a lefty. No, not. I'm thinking Irvin, but he's still there. They lost somebody. Who did they lose? It was another starter that they lost. I can't remember who it was. But you're right. At the trade deadline, they should have went and got an arm. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying like they should have got Orioles? One more that like could have set it down. I mean, Burns is good, definitely one caliber, but I wouldn't say he's in Skubal or Valdez's range. So if you have like a 1B, like you almost need like a 2A, and who's next? Like it's tough.
I don't know.
We'll see, though.
I don't know.
Might win.
I mean, but they're banking on Gunnar, Santander, Adley, those guys showing up. They've been getting a really good push from Cedric Mullins. You got O'Hearn's unsung. You got Cowser, who's been breaking.
Oh, what really hurt them was the one I was trying to think of.
Radish.
Radish is hurt. Yeah, but they knew that was happening. And I'm not saying they should have mortgaged the farm, but you got a chance now here, and Corbin's gone next year or he's a free agent. I mean,
we're going to talk about that later. Yeah. We're going to talk about that later.
I wish they would have made one more move.
Yeah. So let's get into this other stuff. We do have to talk about we started this thing a few years ago. Me, you, and Elise, Ray's Juke Joint, RAE, Ray, Elise, Eric. And we've expanded. We got other shows. We got other stuff going on. We're growing, so on and so forth. But we still have to cover the White Sox. And earlier this week, the White Sox season ended Friday or Saturday.
Sunday.
No, yesterday.
Sunday. They played Sunday.
Yeah, either way, the letter from Jerry came out. And I have not read this. I have not read this letter. I'm going to skim through it as we are live. I have not read it because it's GM, it's owner talk. It's like, oh well, we're going to get better. Sorry that he probably didn't even say sorry. I know he probably didn't say sorry. He's going to be saying some shit like we're going to get better. The what we did on the field was not indicative of winning baseball. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
let's just see what he says.
I skimmed it once, and you're pretty close.
I didn't even skim it. I didn't want to read it.
Yeah,
I didn't want to eat it. I didn't want to read it. So let's see what Mr. Jerry Reinsdorf had to say about this year. So, dear White Sox fans, all right. So, by all measures, our on-field performance this season was a failure. What you don't fucking say, Jerry? Yeah. Right. It was a failure. Yeah. As the leader of this organization, it's my ultimate responsibility. There are no excuses. I want to thank you for continuing to support the team throughout what has been an embarrassing season. You all deserve better. You fucking think. Yeah. I went to that stadium at the height of this fucking terrible shit. They actually won, but still, I went. Anyway, this season's performance was completely unacceptable, and varying reactions and emotions from our fan base are completely understandable. Well, okay. I will say the first two paragraphs or 8 sentences of it. All right, I'm not as bad with that. I'm not. So, okay. So while embracing new ideas and outside perspectives, we would do everything we can to fix this for the 2025 and the future. This will include further development of players on our current roster, developing within our system. We'll talk about that. Evaluating trade and free agent markets. We're going to talk about that to improve our ball club and new leadership for our analytics. Oh, boy, here we go with that shit. Let's come back to that. For our analytics department, allowing us to elevate and improve every process within our organization. Jerry didn't write this. I want y'all to know that. He didn't write this shit. He maybe gave some cliff notes for somebody else to make it sound good. For within our organization with a focus on competing for championships. In fact, the change has already been happening with our baseball operations group throughout the past year. We named general manager in 2023, Chris Getz, and his staff immediately began conducting top to bottom evaluations for existing operations. Chris is rebuilding the foundation, blah, 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 blah. Our organization's most important decision is in the coming months to evaluate and identify a new manager. We're going to talk about that and a leadership voice within the organization. Chris is very well on the way in this search. He has identified key attributes and preferences for our next manager and has already begun an exhaustive. Okay, this is bullshit. Exhaustive search of a wide range of candidates. Okay.
I mean, this is just like you said, GM speak, right? Or owner speak.
Yeah, that's horse shit. All right, so even in the worst seasons, where at times it felt like nothing was going right, there are bright spots that provide reasons for optimism for our future. The overall health of our organization is improving. Our minor league rankings show a growth. The class AA bearings, we're going to talk about that. While the Class A Kannapolis reached the finals of the Carolina League, and our organization has built an impressive future pool of very talented. That's a true statement. I'm not going to lie. That's a true statement. They have some promising prospects. We're going to talk about a couple of those guys today, also on the show. Whether said out loud or written statement, words are easy. I understand that we need to show our progress through action, and I commit to you that everyone associated. I commit to you that everyone associated. I missed everyone. Like I skipped that word. With the White Sox is focused on returning this organization to the level of success we all expect and desire. Above anything else, I am a fan of baseball, of Chicago, and the White Sox. Okay, well, great. Every loss this season, every blown saves, every defensive miscue, every shutout, every sweep hurt. It was a long, painful season for all of us. We recognize on a daily basis that this is our responsibility to earn your trust. You lost mine. I'm not coming back for a minute. Attention, time, and support. We vow to take that approach daily as we put the work in this offseason to be better. We owe you, and we owe it to each and every one of you. That was Mr. Jerry Reinsdorf. So we already said this is all going to be just GM talk, but I'm not going to lie. This is my first time reading it. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at the statement. I'm not mad at the tone of the letter. How did you feel about it?
I wish he would have took a little more accountability for what got us here. Like I feel like Getz is wearing a lot of it. When, to be honest with you, if you're asking me, I'd probably give him a B minus on the first year as being a GM. Like there was a ton of stuff to change. We're talking about years of failure in not only drafting, but international progress and have the ability to turn over, develop, however you want to go. He didn't take over a good situation. He took over where we had to fire the international scout. We had to fire the manager. We had to trade anything that we have to put anything into the cupboards. Like it's not an ideal situation. We understood that from day one. This is going to be steps backwards to go forward. We knew when he traded Cease what type of prospects he'd be looking for. They were there. We knew when we went into the draft that it was going to be college-heavy type deals. We knew where they were trying to hit them. I know we're going to get into what's next and stuff, but it's all going to fit that genre. I like the trade that gets made. I've liked the players he's acquired. They all have a certain theme and a certain focus on it. I wish he would have took more accountability. Like the analytics department just didn't now fail. The international scout just didn't now fail. The drafting process just didn't now fail. Like they develop it to trade players, not hold on them until they run out of value, keep your farm rich, do that stuff. That process just didn't now fail. Like Jerry, this was a result of probably 6 or 7 years of Band-Aid. You and I love to call it. That's all it was trying to Band-Aid an MLB club. Well, sooner or later, you had to rip the Band-Aid off, and this is what we got left with. We got left with not a lot of talent, expiring contracts that are no longer any good. When they could have been flipped, they could have been traded. I mean, we've been screaming for years Makata should have been gone. We paid him $25 million, and I got to give him a $5 million op to play like 19 games or whatever it was this year. Like, that's $30 million. Eloy could have been moved 2 or 3 years ago, when everybody still thought that he had promise. We drove him all the way to negative value. Like, these things were on you and your past regime. Take it for that. Explain why we went backwards, and then get into explaining what we're going to try to do to go forward with some of the stuff that was in the letter. Like, I wish it would a little more accountability for the past. I know he probably didn't want to throw people on the bus, but he definitely could have threw himself under the bus because it was ran like shit.
This is true. We since our inception, we've been banging the table. You got to get guys that on a team that's going nowhere. If they have value, you have to get a return on that at the height of their value. Yep. And I learned that this year from watching other teams understand that. And not for nothing, the White Sox, Chris Getz did a great job in doing that too. He made his flips with the guys he brought in that gained value, and he got rid of some of the guys that didn't have value, were losing value, or their value has plummeted, and he got a return for them. So I'm more optimistic about the future because of what we've been talking about for the majority of the year is our farm. Like, our farm is up there. I'm not gonna lie, it's a decent farm. We got some insane arms down there. We got some players that people are not talking about. Ricky, what's his name? The leadoff hitter for the Bears?
The Japanese player from Oregon State, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, 50 stolen bases for that kid, leading off of that team. There's some things happening behind the scenes, and he acknowledged that too. And we're going to talk about that stuff too. But one thing he did talk about was possible manager candidates, and then I had a couple guys that a couple things that stood out to me over the Twitter, and we use Twitter a lot because Twitter is like the #1 news source. And shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that does the work. And Eric and I are going to start doing our own work as far as like putting out tweets on our page, as far as like prospects, as far as like our rankings for fantasy and things like that. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming. We just have to come up with our strategy a little bit more. But anyway, so this was a tweet that came out, I want to say, it came out on the 24th. So Grady Sizemore is a consideration for the managerial open, but they are going to go through the full process and search for the next hire. So I sent this to you in our DMs, and I said IRO. Like, this is
right.
Yeah. Like, so Chris Getz said he's up for it for sure, right?
I mean, what are you gonna say? Grady's under contract with the club next year. You're gonna want him around. Players have came out very vocally that they are in favor of Grady. Like, obviously, we're not going that route, or I would be shocked. I mean, literally, like, floored if they did. But what are you going to say for a guy you asked to take over? Hey, good job, but now you're not even going to interview. They're going to interview him. Like, it's just people got to understand it's not that big of a deal. You're getting an interview. It's fine. You're getting one. It's great. It's like what they did with Ozzy for years. Sure, you got an interview. Everybody in the free world knew they were never hiring him and never should have hired him. But, like, they gave him an interview because he's White Sox legacy, right? He gets an interview. It's no big deal. Gets an interview. End of story.
And then outside of Grady, I saw this tweet, and this is from Sox on 35th. Clayton McCullough of the Dodgers reported considered a leading candidate to be the next manager of the White Sox. So he's a bench coach, or he's a third base coach, right? Out there in LA. I don't know much about him. Maybe you do. I don't know him too well. But he seems to have a serious track record from what I looked up. I don't know him. But he's 44. He was a minor league catcher. So we like catchers as managers.
Yeah.
And he was the first base coach with the Dodgers. So I mean, he's basically, I think he's a career coach. And he's already interviewed with a couple clubs over the last couple years, to include the Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about what type of person they should be looking for. Like, I know people don't like it, but studies would be done. Go research them, go read them if you don't like it. But as far as wins and losses on a season, the manager has very little impact on that stat. Everybody is pretty much in the same bucket from a +2 to a -2. You're not talking about a huge deal. But the one thing that's got to come in, it's got to be interesting, is who can be a guy that free agents, that possible contract extensions are willing to come play for.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that manager? Who's that guy that are like, listen, I know I'm willing to go there because I know that guy, and that guy is first class, treats his players well, whatever the scenario might be. Like, players are a lot more educated than they used to be. And I think as society as a whole, we are. Life matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not necessarily I'm going to take the highest paid job, anymore. It's about where's the location? What's my day-to-day like? Do I like the people that I'm stuck with? If you're talking about baseball, what is it, February to, October, maybe into November, you're with the same group of guys. If you don't like those group of guys, how much fun are you going to be from February to November or October, right? So, like, who's respected? Who has the players' respect? Who's willing to come play for that kind of guy, understanding who he is? Like, that's probably priority one on the managerial search. It's going to have nothing to do with what a lot of people think it's going to have to do.
I think that, like, the misconception when we brought in Grifol, right?
Yeah.
You and I, we did a show. A lot of people gave you some slack for it, but the concept was right. Now I think that's what I think a lot of people, just said, forget all the, forget everything else. It was the pick, right? It was Grifol, right? But the concept was right. The person was wrong, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. The concept was bringing a guy that has an extensive experience, that bringing in young guys, analytics, and meshing them together.
Yeah.
What we didn't know was Grifol was just an asshat, and he could not do it. He may have, like, we had this saying in the Army, like, he briefs well, but is he a leader?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He can brief everything well. He could do a great interview. He may knock your shoes off in the interview, but then when his foot's to the fire, can he produce? Right. And Grifol couldn't.
Well, it's not only he couldn't produce. There's so much stuff that we don't know. And you're right. Conceptually, it was correct. I mean, we can go through years of coaching hires where people have worked out other places they didn't. I mean, Christ, Bill Belichick got fired from the Cleveland Browns. You know what I mean? Like, stuff happens. Like, personnel, timing, situation matters. And it was kind of a weird spot for Grifol, and he could not handle it. You're right. Because he was walking into possible expectations right away of being able to compete that first year.
Yeah.
And when they start off terrible, like they did 2 years ago as well, in April, and they were buried off of the get, he couldn't find a way out. And it also speaks volumes when some of the vets, or actually the whole team, I think, was wearing like Sizemore shirts like 1 week into the place. That wasn't for Grady. That was more of a slap to Grifol than anything else. That wasn't for Sizemore. That was just more like,
people didn't realize that.
Yeah, they don't even realize that had nothing to do with Grady. That was more of
like, we love Sizemore. No, we didn't like that other cat.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you ever date a girl that dated a horrible boyfriend before. The second you take in, you're like, oh, you're nice to me. I love you. Like, that's all he had. If Sizemore just showed up and wasn't an asshat, they're like, you're the best ever because we're used to deal with the asshat all year long. So conceptually correct, fit, not correct, right?
AJ Pierzynski.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna get interviewed.
You think they're gonna interview him?
I think they will.
I don't know. I'm hoping they don't. Let me tell you why I hope they don't. I have nothing to do with AJ. If you and I could buy the White Sox, you know who I'd put on my staff?
Go ahead.
AJ, Burley, and Lance Lynn.
Yep.
Those are the three guys that I would 100% put on my staff. And I would want those guys involved in everything from what players should be doing, not doing, to players' health, to players' mindsets, to what they like and don't like, to the in-game stuff, to all that deal. But you tell me three more fiery competitors
can I give you one more
have
name?
The ball, love to compete than them three guys, right?
Can I give you another name that's going to get interviewed?
Yeah.
Jim Thome.
You think so?
Absolutely.
So I'm very interested to see how Chris Getz's words hold out, right? He came out and said when the manager search was open, it was going to be somebody in uniform. He basically said it's going to be somebody that's not in uniform would not be the deal. So I want to see who gets interviewed. Because this is going to lead to everybody's favorite White Sox prospect besides you and I later. Like, if his word is true, and it matters, I want to see a list of candidates fit what you told me was going to fit. If not, you're like every other fucking GM that I've ever came across that just says, and you don't back up what he says. You told me you wanted a guy that was currently in the game and currently in uniform. If you go give AJ Pierzynski, Ozzie Guillen, Jim Thome, you give these guys interviews, that means you lied to me when you told me what the people should be, who the candidate was going to be, or you're just showing face, which is just about as disrespectful as anything else if you have no intention of hiring them. So you better decide what that is. If I had my choice, in another group chat we're in, outside of ours, we talk more White Sox front office stuff than fantasy, which we do in ours a lot. But I don't know how Santos from the AA club doesn't get a look.
I agreed.
I mean, we are a pitching heavy organization. He's an ex-pitcher. He just won. The players love him. He knows everybody on the staff that's going to be coming up right now. He's seen every single one of them.
He's loved.
I don't know how he doesn't get a look.
I agree. He is loved.
Watching
the interviews after the championship, even during the season, listen to the guys speak about what they're doing in Birmingham. He's a very likable person, for one, but he has some baseball knowledge and he's doing a job down in Birmingham. But let's keep it moving. We got a lot going on.
Let's go.
So during all this time, after the Jerry stuff was going on, so on and so forth, one guy pitched a fucking gym, right? He pitched a gym, and Garrett Crochet is at the height of his value right now.
Yeah,
we did not move him at the deadline like we thought he would, but you said something maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or maybe the last time we recorded, which was probably 3 weeks ago. I don't know. We've been. It's hard to record every week with the White Sox.
Yeah, anyway, the news is never positive, right?
Yeah. Long story short, he pitched another gym. So what I'm saying is his value just took another notch up.
Yeah,
we didn't move him at the deadline. He's been killing it so far. Even in the midst of I'm in this pitching thing where I'm not going to pitch all. Woo, woo, woo. Long story short, he still nails. So this came out. Oh, wrong. I'm sorry, everybody. Forgive me. I'm an old man. So Crochet said he would be receptive to the White Sox. This is from Benny Duber. Shout out to Benny. He does great work. potentially talking about long-term contract. Asked why he would want to stay in the middle of a rebuild. He said, "I like the pieces that we have. I got a lot of trust in Chris Getz, and I think so does everybody in our clubhouse." So that was on the 26th, which was a couple days ago. So and then right after that, I want to say a day or two, this comes out. Maybe so. It's 3 days ago. So Bob Nightingale, if you know who that is, he says the White Sox fully intend to trade Garrett Crochet this offseason. So let's talk about it, E. We have to trade him. Am I wrong in saying that? We have to.
No, there's not really a choice. I mean, if the cupboard wasn't so bare behind, obviously anybody in their right mind could be like, let's extend him. Let's run him, Schultz, and Smith out for the next 5 or 6 years.
And
obviously you get that, right?
I love it.
On the surface, that makes a ton of sense. But the cupboard is so bare. And what you can get to add to the other core, the AA champions, for example, the high A guys, what you can get right now in this offseason, and your number one buyer is probably going to be whoever comes up short in this playoff thing. The Phillies come up short. Dodgers come up short.
Diamondbacks
come up short. The Mets come up short. Whoever comes up short in this deal, they now become your number one trade partner because they're like, all I would have needed was him, and we could have won. And so that becomes your suitor. You're going to have a whole bunch of people bidding. 2 more years of control, which is super cheap. So any people in that window, and he's number 2 value guy in our, on Baseball Trade Value, number 2 value guy in our club behind Schultz. So they have to move him just because you cannot extend him. You cannot miss out on $50 million probably worth of prospects that are out there.
Yeah.
We don't have a strong enough core of people to be like, let's hold on to him, extend him, and blow some of our future capital and some of our stuff for somebody that's not, willing to go. So they got to trade him.
They have to. And here's my thoughts on it. I did like the idea. Like, it's just an idea. It's one of those things where if you close your eyes and you think about it, you'd be like, that would look nice. Like Crochet, Hagen Smith, Noah Schultz, just back to back, just giving people fucking fits, right?
Right.
But can you score fucking points to support them?
You can't.
You can't.
And the window's not right. And to be honest with you, we're not done taking steps back. We got, 2 more stars, even though Luis Roberts' trade value is now almost not nearly what it was after the year he put up. But, we got some more tear down to do.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some more free agent stuff to do.
And we're going to have to really come to reality with some of the prospects that are not going to make it.
They're going to have to realize they're just not going to make it.
There's some guys that people are banking on coming up to the big club that will show up, and then they will become fucking what's my man that back we used to love out in right field?
Colas or Lenny Sosa, pick one, right?
Just throw a name in a hat, pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, anybody the White Sox have banked on for years that just haven't panned out. Prospects don't pan out in general a lot of times. Let's just be honest. Even ones that have higher upside. But, you're right. And I don't see – the only way to truly get a couple of prospects to make your club and make a difference is to have 10 of them. So, 7 of them can fail because that's just the math behind it. That's the math behind it.
Yeah, and it's like you have to get – we have to get a return because what if everybody's favorite prospect outside of us is not the guy at a premium position in the MLB?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. Listen, if I'm waiting to hold Chris Getz accountable to his words.
Okay.
So far, I'm a fan. So far, I know the job he took over. Listen, I've taken over terrible companies. I've taken over terrible restaurants, you name it. It's not the easiest thing to flip and to turn around. And he's got to start from almost page -1. There wasn't even a page 1 there. And so we started it. I'm a fan so far. But you told me day one that up the middle defense mattered. And that was going to be your criteria.
Yep.
Well, if that's the case, literally out of your mouth, we already know Montgomery can't play shortstop. I mean, we've known it since he was drafted, some of us, but there's no way he can play shortstop on the major league level. So now what are you going to do? You have Ramos, him, and Vargas at third. Like, what are you doing? Or maybe one of them can go over to second. Maybe he can hold his own. But if up the middle defense is what you want to build your cornerstone on, what is the plan? We don't have a shortstop anywhere near ready, and it plays that type of defense.
Nope.
The whole idea of signing Paul DeJong was defensive wizard. Had some pop, right? Played out. Got some prospects for him. Traded him, right? Fine. Yep. But now what? Who plays shortstop next year?
Exactly. Lenyn Sosa.
Yeah, no. He should be DFA'd, I would guess. I've been saying it all year, but, I mean, he's at the point now, he's at options. He has to make the 26 or you have to cut him. I can't see a scenario where he should be on a 26-man roster.
Nobody's going to get him Rule 5, right?
Yeah, he's not even on that because he's already past that. So, like,
he is? Okay.
Yeah. He's all the way down to this was his last year of options. So he has to stay on the 26. He can't be sent back down to the minors. He can't be sent back down without being cut. So,
I mean, I'm
guessing his time is probably over, I would assume.
So that's my thing. You have to trade Crochet right now to get a guy at a premium position that can be that. You know, what
that's
we need.
For sure what you're looking for. I mean, you don't draft Hagen Smith last year to turn around and extend Crochet. You drafted Hagen Smith so you could trade Crochet for offense, and then you got Hagen Smith to take over for Crochet. That's the plan that was laid out the second they drafted Hagen Smith.
Absolutely. And I think we knew that when we covered the draft, we was like, yeah, that's Crochet's replacement right there.
Yeah, and I love it. Like, flipping guys at their peak, you just said it, flipping guys at their peak, not allowing their contracts to go to zero, getting the most you can get out of them. Like, that needs to become job number one in the front office. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I've said it 4 times on this show already, but I'll say it a 5th time. The Milwaukee Brewers are the best ran franchise, I believe, in baseball. They went ahead and just traded Corbin Burns this year on his last year because they didn't want him to go to zero, even though they had full intentions of trying to win the Central, and they were in the run. They moved their ace. Like, they just moved them. And they got Joey Ortiz and some players that are going to help them. And, like, it's not about the players. It's about the value. I know it's a hard concept for most people to get around, but, like, it's more about the value of the player and moving the chips and keeping the assets full.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. I just think that, you know, people have to come. You can't love a player to the point where you're holding on to hope. I'm sorry, you can't. Yeah. Like I really feel as though, like, if the Phillies came to us and said, "Hey, we're gonna give you Aiden Miller.
Yeah,
we're gonna give you and you know what? As a little bit of a fucking here's a little nugget for you because we really want Crochet. We're gonna give you Painter too.
Yeah,
walk away with Painter and Miller from the Phillies. That's just the Phillies.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, every system's got the same guys we talked about. Vargas for the Dodgers, you know, is supposed to be, you know, along with Morales is supposed to be decent. Like, these clubs that are trying to compete are also loaded underneath, and they'll sell to win right now. They just, especially Drabowski at Phillies. He don't like prospects whatsoever. But I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced Robert and Crochet couldn't go to the Phillies both.
Well, I mean, let's talk about it. So let's get into this other part, and appreciate everybody that's tuning in, that's watching live. We appreciate you guys watching. And you know, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment up on YouTube and even on Twitter. We'll see it, so on and so forth. So let's just get into a little bit of free agency talk, you know, because the season is over with. We're gonna, you know, playoff baseball does not involve us, but we have to look to the future, right? So free agency for the White Sox, what does it kind of look like? I do want to talk about one thing, and I'm just going to put it up here. This is what we're looking at, right? This is Sports Track, and for some reason, your boy got
Listen, I don't know why you got to bring this up again. Like
I have to.
How many times was I yelling? Remember when we used to do the spaces during the games? We used to host them. Yeah. How many times was Mac and I yelling? Get that and the goddamn $45 million he has coming off of the books, and they never did it.
Never did it. But if you look at the adjusted payroll roster or payroll total, $65,600,000, right?
Yep.
And then cash total is $40,500,000, right?
Yep.
It's not a lot of wiggle room. It's not a lot of wiggle room. And the red means they have a club option still. It's like, why does he still have a club option?
Yeah, I don't know why. And they're gonna pay him $5 million to leave town, which is here's your check. Go away now. Thank you.
Right.
The rest of these guys are still in arbitration, or whatever. Nicky will be interesting. I don't know if they're gonna want to pay him. I'm pretty sure he's ARB 3. It'll be his highest deal. I want to say he made it 5 or 6. He's probably looking at $8 million. Lambert they'll hold on to. Flexen, of course, they'll hold on to.
Yeah.
Sheets, who knows with Sheets? They're holding on to all pitching. All these pitchers are staying. Vaughn staying. Sheets, I don't know what Sheets will do. I could see him passing there, but also too, knowing where they're at, knowing the rebuild, he probably stays. So if anything, he would be a DFA later. I don't see him just kicking it down the street.
Right.
But before we get to let's talk about the timeline a little bit, right? Before we get to free agency, free agency will be first. Yeah. The one thing that's interesting too that we should talk about is the change they made in the international prospect coaching and how they kind of already have a deal in place for one of the top 50 guys, Alejandro Cruz. So that'll be part of adding to this team as well. It's getting a manager. What type of free agent can you? Now everybody was pissed because they said payroll was going to go down and the White Sox were going to play big. By the way, that's what they said: big, heavy in free agency. And of course, you can't automatic losing scenario. Payroll being down is not that big of a deal because if you go to the 2024 tab, taking Makata and Eloy and stuff out of that deal is already the payroll is going to be down. It has really nothing to do. It's just simple numbers. People that don't understand it, freak out about some of the
2024 tab is
they spend 133 and 155. You think they're going to spend that again with what they already have on? No, of course it's going to be down, but it has more to do with what came off, not what we're not adding.
Right. So I'm looking at 2024 right now. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, you lose Eloy. They moved him off already, but Eloy was on our payroll.
Yeah.
I think he was $14 million.
Makata
there at 25. Cease was initially on it.
I
think he was making 10. Kopech was on. I don't know. He was making 3 or 5, something like that. But they've moved some of the guys, but they're not going back to a $150 million payroll next year. So when they say they're going to cut payroll, it doesn't mean they're necessarily not signing people. It just means their payroll is going to be less this year than it was next year. And obviously, if you look at this, you see that. It's common sense.
Right. So what I wanted to try to talk about a little bit, we already know the number one free agent next year in the MLB is Juan Soto.
Yeah.
So if you're a White Sox
contract probably signed of all time, I'm guessing.
If you're a White Sox fan and you think, oh, we're gonna get, don't think that.
Yeah, no chance. No, doesn't even make sense. We won't even.
But here's
the White Sox won't even sign a prospect or a player non-bullpen related to a multiple year deal. So if you're thinking anybody that's got a multiple year deal, this isn't the year. This year is going to be a little bit more of what you saw, but probably hopefully ramped up a little bit. You saw the Robbie Grossman flip. You saw the Pham flip. You saw the Fetty flip. You saw these guys, the John got flipped. You saw some of these guys on a lower scale getting flipped. Hopefully they turn that up a notch. We'll get some more one-year people that want a starting job and want to roll that we can get people to at the deadline. The number one spend, not only for his performance, but just for the ability to flip will be in the bullpen, I would guess. If you're trying to get somebody that you want to try to flip, make a setup guy a closer. or make a closer didn't do so good, give him a chance to close again, and then let him raise his value for 3 months and ship him out of town and get some more prospects to add to that kind of young core that's down there in Double-A, High A ball.
Right. So, the one guy we've been talking about this guy for a couple years, and he's a free agent, and I liked him, you liked him, but he's outplayed where we could have got him. We're talking about Willy Adames.
Yeah.
This kid, I mean, he went stupid this year. And I'm just going to say that. He just went dummy, right? He's 29 years old, 252, 32 bombs, 111 RBIs, and 802 OPS, 20 stolen bases. So, I mean, I don't know what his price is going to be, but you're saying, we were talking earlier, you were saying that he's in that second tier, right? So if we look at tiers, right, some of the guys on this list, as far as the MLB free agents that we're talking about, like the Cards said they're already moving on from Goldie. Goldie is making $26 million, right? And here's the reason why I'm going to talk about some of this stuff, because we have to be reasonable on about what the pay chart is going to look like for the White Sox.
Right.
Okay, so like guys like Garrett Cole, no, Soto, no. Verlander is probably at the end of his career, right? Scherzer, end of his career. Belly, the Cubs are.
He's gonna have to opt in. I think he already said he was.
Yeah, he's gonna.
He ain't beating $27 million out in the real world.
Yep. So Blake Snell, he's probably gonna stay with San.
He's gonna opt out, I would guess. He can beat that after that year he had. Oh yeah, he'll opt out.
Okay, but here's an interesting name, Corbin.
These are the kind of names you can look at, like
Patrick Corbin. Robert.
Is there somebody out there they think that maybe like Ray's going to have to opt in? He ain't beating $25 million out in the deal, but like, is there somebody on a 1-year deal that the White Sox think that they can? Like for years they wanted Conforto, and I just despise it and still do. But like, that's a guy. Is there something you could see in him where
he's had
he can play right field, he can hit enough that he would have trade value deadline? The only reason you're looking to hire somebody is who might have trade value at the deadline. That's the only reason.
Right. And Conforto is a guy that he played 1 year with San Fran. He had a decent year this year.
Yeah. So, like who's been willing to sign a 1-year deal? Who's maybe willing to come on and risk it. Kind of like Flaherty did for the Tigers, right?
Yep.
Like he signed a 1-year deal. Those are the kind of guys you should be looking at. If you really want to put your work in, those are the kinds of guys you should be looking at.
What about Glaber?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. I might be able to, but can you see what they say his market is? I'm guessing he's getting multiple years, but can you see
if I click his name on Sports Track, will it pop up?
Yeah, it might.
Let's see.
If not, I can probably find it. Because I don't know if you have to have their premium service to get it.
Yeah, you might, because it didn't pop up. But I mean, he avoided arbitration this year.
But he's unrestricted. This was his last year. That's why he kind of hurt him in the deal. Here you go, market value. They're saying 3 years, $21 million for us. So like probably outside of what we're looking for, unless he wanted to take a 1-year deal and approve it thing, and try to get more out in the market if his market dried up. But that's where the White Sox are going to play, is who wants a 1-year deal that maybe they can prove it. Or if they find somebody like an Eric Fetty or a relief pitcher that wants 2 years, you get more for it if he actually shows up, because they have another 1.5 years control when you give it up. But you can forget about players like Alonso or your man in Baltimore. Like none of those guys are. Yeah, the White Sox aren't ready to anchor down and put like a core there. I was hoping I could see a path for where it could have been Adames signing like a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, but he's outplayed. Like he's going to be in the hundreds of millions now in 6 years, and by the time that contract comes to the end, even though he's a plus shortstop now, he might not be then. So I don't think they're going to hang their hat there either. But what you're looking for is here, Andrew Heaney.
Oh yeah, left-hand pitcher from the Texans.
I mean, they're going to need some they're going to need some pitching help. They're not going to just run the young guys out there and drag them into the ground. You're going to see a lot of what you saw last year, them going up and down between the minors and the big leagues, them getting some starts, them getting some time off. So they're going to need some people to like possibly eat some innings and do some stuff.
Yeah, and so like
and players they want to flip, or whatever.
Yeah, this list is kind of just it's kind of bare. Like Eugenio Suarez, he's probably going to opt in.
He's got a club. They'll probably sign him after the second half he had, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Bader. Bader plays good defense, but I mean,
yeah.
Are you gonna? What kind of trade value is he going to have in return? I couldn't really see it. If Chapman wanted to hold on one more year and try to be a closer, and the White Sox were willing to pay him and give him a closer role and flip him at the deadline, I could see it.
Yes.
But, Alex Cobb's interesting.
Alex Cobb, yeah, because he was
kind of hurt and kind of stuff. He could be a good reclamation 1-year project guy. But this is what this is kind of what you're looking for. Virgo had an absolutely terrible year.
Yeah,
like maybe
he had a terrible year.
Maybe he's got a rebound in him, and you could take a swing low opportunity to him. But if you're really trying to think of what the White Sox are going to do, it's going to be guys like this.
Hey, what's mutual mean?
Mutual means that basically he's going to be a free agent. The club and the player have to both agree, and the club's never paying Wade Miley $12 million. Usually, what they do is say, I want to pay you $10 million, Ray, but I don't want all $10 million to hit this year. I'll give you a $7.5 million this year, and I'll give you a club option with a $2.5 million buyout for next year. And we all know I'm going to buy you out. Mutual is never really a mutual thing. It's just a way to defer money until the following year, basically.
Here's an interesting name for a player, Pivetta.
Yeah, so like, is there, and if there's an area where I trust the White Sox, I trust the White Sox in a potential being able to develop somebody. Maybe they add a pitch to or change something and turn him into a good pitcher or a good relief pitcher. Like, that's where I think you'll see some of the free agent stuff come in.
Right.
But if you think we're going to go sign in right fielder for a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year contract, this and that, like, you're just going to let yourself down because it doesn't make any sense.
I think
back from 2 years ago, when I told you the 1-year contracts didn't make sense, and everybody yelled at me and we never did it, didn't make sense. Now I'm telling you, this is time it makes sense. Like, you have to understand where the club is, the organization is, and what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
So here comes your 1-year guys that could, either you're trying to trade for or move, that maybe you can get it. That maybe can get a.
I kind of like a couple names here. Mad Max, Hakan Sim. Those guys are.
He's got a mutual option. They might, but so that's probably gone because he can get more out there. But Kim makes a lot of sense. He plays great defense, not a huge market value, coming off of injured and rehab. Somebody you could flip because he plays multiple positions. He doesn't strike out. He can steal you a base. He makes a ton of sense.
Right. So those are the guys who kind of. Like, I just wanted to pull up the free agency for next year. Just kind of give an idea to the listeners, to the viewers. What, like, your expectations should be measured. Should have measured expectations.
Yeah, and is there anything you can trade to get a guy that might have value, at the trade deadline? Like, the only thing you're really looking for is you're not looking for somebody that's going to help the team win games. You're looking for somebody that's going to help the teams add prospects. You're trying to buy prospects. That's what you're trying to do in free agency.
So let's talk prospects. Let's talk prospects. This year we was talked about it in the letter from Jerry. The Birmingham Barons won the Southern League on this play right here from DJ Gladney.
Kind of a good story there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's part of I think he's from the Chicago area, part of the Aces program.
He is.
All that stuff. So it's kind of a good story to watch him walk that off there.
Yeah, so it was pretty dope. Like you said, the manager there is a guy that, Santos, he just is a guy. Like, he's a baseball guy. You know,
I think the White Sox have got to go. When you're talking about manager, I feel like they've got to go player. I think you're going to see more people, and we saw it today with the Giants.
well, we're going to talk about those.
I think you're going to see more teams go to like the player type GMs, coaches that were like players. Like if you're going to get players to come play for you, want to play from you, they have the instant respect. I think you've seen it with Grady, got instant respect because of the caliber player that he was. He knows what it takes day in and day out. Like I think the White Sox got to stay down that path.
Yeah. So so that was the walk off. So 2024, first time since 2013, the Birmingham Barons celebrated a title, and it was the walk off from Gladney. So it was pretty dope to see that. And then also, just to talk prospects, we already talked free agency. We're talking prospects now. The Southern League All Stars was littered with Barons.
Yep.
If I can get it to pop up.
No, I got it. I can see it.
Oh, okay, I can see it now. My internet be janky sometimes. So Cuero, right?
Yeah.
Brooks Baldwin, Noah Schultz, and Drew Thorpe, who ended up being on the major league team, all made the Southern League All-Star team. So they were out there with Matt Shaw, Carson Williams. If you don't know who that is, check him out. He's a guy.
And if you don't know who Chandler Simpson is, you should check into that too.
Yep. There's some names on here that you probably need to know because they're coming to the big leagues.
I can't remember the number, but I want to say Simpson stole 105.
Right.
It was a lot. It was over 100. I think it was 105. Yeah. I don't know the final number, but I know it was over 100.
It was just a dumb number. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So there's some names on here. Brooks Baldwin, just being a guy that just can play anywhere. Noah Schultz, Drew Thorpe. And let's talk about Noah Schultz, right? Let's talk about Noah Schultz because even in this, with the All-Star team, the kid ended up being the pitcher of the year in that league, right?
Yeah.
Schultz ranked the top left-handed pitching prospect in baseball by MLB Pipeline. And not just MLB Pipeline. There's other publications, baseball,
right,
and so on and so forth, that just double stamp the triple stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. At his age, 20 seasons, Schultz made 16 AA starts, a 1.48 ERA. Goddamn, a 0.92.
Yeah,
WHIP, 73 strikeouts in 61 innings. I think he only had it was like a 73-11 strikeout walk.
To walk, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've been saying probably since he was drafted, he was the number one prospect, even on the show a year and a half ago. Like this and Hagen Smith, this is your 1-2 combination you're looking for, 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Path for next year, I would guess they might start Noah back down in double, then probably move him up to Charlotte and triple. Then the end of the year, he gets a little MLB time, preparing him for the year after, right? I'm going to guess Hagen probably on a similar path.
Right. I mean, but next year, you're going to see Thorpe again. Hopefully he gets healthy. I mean, you may not see him till July, but you're definitely going to see Sean Burke for sure.
Burke's going to pitch. Cannon's going to pitch. Thorpe's going to pitch.
Iriarte is probably going to be stretched out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see where they start him. They might start him back down in triple as a starter again. Yeah. I'd be interested, but Bush is going to get some major league starts.
Yeah,
Edders should be 2 years off of Tommy John. He should see some major league starts. Like they're going to have some young guys. Flexen will still be around. He has to do a quality job considering this year everything that went around. We're going to have some. I could see him signing 1 or 2 one-year prospects, trying to flip them at the deadline and yet letting the young kids play the second half of the season. Kind of, I'm guessing to me, that's the obvious GM plan.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be, right?
It has to be. Like you're going to give some of these guys that are already up, already used, their service time stuff. Go ahead and let them start, move them up and down, get a couple one-year flip guys to eat up some first half innings and just trade them. And then the second half, let the young kids kind of finish out the year.
Right. Like you have to manipulate service time, and a lot of people don't like that because they think that guys deserve time in the majors, and I don't think
the whole develop at the majors thing has got to be one of the worst takes of all time. Let him come up. Let him learn. No, it don't work that way. Like you're just going to get embarrassed if you ain't producing at the level below. You have no business making the next step up. We're not talking about selling hot dogs, on different street corners. Like if you can't handle AAA, you're not ready for the big leagues.
Absolutely. So, speaking of which, as of right now, according to MLB, the White Sox number one prospect is Noah Schultz.
Yep.
According to MLB, number 2 is Colson Montgomery.
Yep.
According to MLB, Hagen Smith is 3, Cuero is 4, and Iriarte is 5.
Yeah. Iriarte, the only question is, can he throw strikes? The stuff, you can just see the stuff.
But guess who made a big jump? Guess who made a big jump, E? At the end of the year?
Would guess the biggest riser in the deal was probably Wolkow.
Wolkow is 7.
Yeah.
Right behind. As a matter of fact, let me just put it up. So Wolkow, according to MLB, has popped up to 7. Grant Taylor is 6. You love Grant, and I'm gonna let you talk about Grant in a second.
I'm just intrigued, right? I know everybody's freaking out, but like you heard Daniel Vetras say what he said, but like I followed college baseball quite a bit, and like he was kind of a co-1 starter at LSU along with Paul Skeens. And to be considered in that deal, we all just saw what Skeens did. To be considered on that level, I'm super intrigued. I did like they're pushing it. He's going to pitch in the Arizona Fall League, granted. So he obviously is feeling a little bit better. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. I'm surprised. You and I talked about this. Colson Montgomery finished the year pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
And he started using the gap a little bit more. We saw some balls hit the center because we were very critical, should be, that every single thing was dead pull. I'm a little surprised they're putting him back in the Arizona Fall League. This is usually for first-year players and younger kids, but I suppose they want to continue his role and see, what he can get over there. But
well, let's pull it up. So, like, here's the guys that are in the top 100 according to MLB that are playing in the Arizona Fall League. Ethan Salas is a young.
Yeah.
Kid. He's 18.
All these guys are usually your single A, high A, maybe guys, right? Like,
so I
think Drew Gilbert's up there.
Yeah, Drew Gilbert is up there. Bryce Eldridge is what, 19?
19.
Yeah. So and
he was a first-year player draft last year. DeVries was a first-year player draft last year. Salas was a first player draft last year. Isaac, same thing. Cole Young also on my team. Like I should go watch. I better watch some of his games. If you look at this,
that's a lot of your fucking minor.
That's a lot of my guys, right? 27, 44, 50 are all on my squad for fantasy. So
yes, they are. And you traded away Leo too. So
I traded away 44. Yeah.
Yeah, you traded away, and I got Arroyo on my team.
So. Yeah, that's a great pickup late in the year.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
you got Salas too, right?
I have Salas too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some guys here that are.
But Grant Taylor's going for the White Sox, so I'm interested to see what he does down there. I'm really interested to see. Like, I think he's a guy that, a lot like the kid they got from Arkansas, Paulette, that moved to the bullpen.
Oh yeah,
he's a guy next year that like they might just second half of the year I could see him maybe pitching out of the pen for the White Sox type deal.
Yeah. So hold on, I hit the wrong thing. 1 second. God damn it. I forgot one thing.
It's a miracle, Ray. I have service again.
Oh, whoa, that's what's up. That's what's up.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Went back to SOS. I was just kidding. I had it for 2 seconds.
That's whack. Okay, forget it then.
They're tormenting me.
Yeah. So so before we get out of here, we got a couple more things to cover. Two more things to cover.
All right.
So like I was shocked to see this one, right? this came up, and I was like, "Holy shit, they're making moves, front office moves." I mean, the season just ended yesterday.
Yeah,
Buster Posey named Giants president, and you were just saying how a lot of teams are going to go with guys that wore the uniform. They got rid of Zahad Zahadi.
Yeah, huge
Farhan.
analytical guy, huge computer guy.
Yeah, yeah. And now here you come with a guy, and we all know who Buster Posey is. If you don't know who Buster Posey is, you're not a fucking baseball fan.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, Buster might have retired. I don't want to say in his
2
prime, but
years
damn
ago.
near close. He could have stung around for a couple more years for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is just um this is insane to see already just today people getting moved. And then this is the other one with Bloom. If you don't know who Bloom is, he's the guy responsible for a few of the guys that's gonna. There's 3 guys up in Boston that we've talked about a show or 2 ago that are moving together, and it's all because of Chain Bloom, right?
Yeah,
And now
huge
he's
Tampa
moving
guy.
in.
He started in
Yeah,
Tampa, moved to Boston, and then they got booted out of Boston. And he went. Now he's going to take over the Cardinals. But you know, it's going to be a mix of a lot of places. So it's the aggressiveness of the offseason so far, I would say, probably favors the White Sox. So you're going to want teams that are going to want to be aggressive. With Robert and Crochet probably both getting moved, you're going to want some people out there that are interested in, making their name known and making those types of moves. And Buster Posey's interesting. San Francisco's got a few things going against it in the free agent market. And I think they're hoping the player can change some of that. Town's not in the greatest shape it used to be. The taxes are absolutely outrageous. Like, there's a lot of stuff that people don't think about. It goes into free agency to get people to come. But I promise you, the taxes are one of the biggest things that's on the list.
and like that division is tough. Like that's a tough division. You
Yeah.
got the Diamondbacks, you got the Dodgers, you got the Mariners.
Well, what I'm interested in is they just signed Chapman to a pretty big extension. Like, I wonder, was that Posey or was that the old guy? Then they fired him, and now Posey's stuck with that extension. Like, I'm assuming the owner knew he was firing the GM, so I'm guessing that was Posey that worked that deal. But that's the stuff I wish they would give us more insight to, so we didn't have to guess.
We didn't have to guess, yeah. So I did want to I wanted to toot my horn a little bit. I picked this guy up back in I want to say June. So this guy was the other pitcher of the year.
Yeah.
Brandon Sproat, he won the AAA. He posted a 2.45, 77 strikeouts and 62 in the third innings with a K per 9 rate of 11.1 and 11 starts. So I love the kid. He's on my team. I wanted to toot my horn a little bit.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, you and I differ here in philosophy, which is part of the fun. But, like, I'm anti-pitcher in the minors. I don't have a single one.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't. I mean, they list Eldridge as a pitcher still, but he gave up pitching. He was supposed to be a dual rate. Like, I don't have a single minor league pitcher on my dynasty roster. I don't necessarily believe in that side of it. But it's going to be interesting to see it play out because when you do hit one, it hurts to get a guy that's giving quality starts and looks good and stuff because that's so valuable. So valuable.
Yeah, and I just to have him. I have him, Mizorowski, and Hintz just in the hopper. So I don't know when they're coming. I'm gonna give it some time on my dynasty league, on my dynasty team. See how they do. But I'm very excited about Sproat. Swelly showed his ass today in a playoff environment, so he'll be back next year.
Yeah. I tell you one thing I'm going to recommend, and I'm assuming some of the league guys might be listening or they'll watch it at some point. But I think we should move our winter meetings up sooner and get the rosters open. Like, making the trades and the stuff is part of the fun. Like, shutting it down for 2.5 months doesn't sound ideal to me, but
that's true. That's true. And
I'll let everybody else decide.
I think some of the guys in the league are going to love that idea. Anyway.
I think we should move it up quicker. Let's get some of the issues fixed in the league, and then let's start trading and start going back and forth.
Yeah. So I mean, this one last thing before we go, Eric. I'm going to just say this. I I don't even know if I can say it. I can't say it. It's over, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
over. So this is just you being the champion. Hold on, what the fuck? Oh, there you go. Hold on. I'm making sure I got this right. I didn't like the banner. I didn't like the banner that I made initially.
Oh, gotcha.
So I like it. I like this one. Congratulations to the back-to-back scumbag baseball classic champion, Eric Wilson. Congratulations, my guy. You won it. You won it right now. There's still scoring going on because he does have some guys going to play in this that are playing right now.
Sure. He'd have to flip like 4 categories, though.
He would have to flip 4 categories, and it's not going to happen.
I just don't see enough in one game to.
This is live right now. He is going against our good buddy Caleb. And these were the 2 last year. So the rest of the league, we have to step up. It can't be these 2.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing for the league that the same 2 guys made the championship.
Yeah, but I will say there was 2 new or 3 new playoff contenders this year.
Yeah,
and I missed beating Caleb by 1 move. So it is what it is. We're learning. Shout out to you guys. You guys had a great year, and it's over with. This is for you. This is back-to-back championships.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was definitely the dynasty mode changed some stuff from last year in the deal, but it's the head-to-head matchups and some of the moves we can cover on another show. But I think teams did a great job of making their teams better. I don't think a lot of teams manage the playoffs very well, and you can go back to the couple of trades that I made. And when did I tell you I was looking ahead at the playoff schedule? Like 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, me and you both were.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I made a trade with Ian getting rid of 4 pitchers that were quality starting pitchers to only get 2 in return. And the reason why I did that was I knew I was going to need flexibility to make up matchups and to move players and stuff. But I'll tell you what I'm most interested in. I'm assuming that I'll probably just repeat again. I would assume. I don't, I would assess the plan. But I'm most interested in you and I and our maiden voyage into the super contest, into the big FBC deal. That's what I'm really intrigued about.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I can't wait for that next year in the real fantasy baseball championship.
But I'll tell you one thing I didn't realize, and this is why I love about the dynasty and about our league. I really didn't realize how bad I wanted to repeat until I got into the playoffs. Yeah. And I'm if you don't repeat, then you got to listen to somebody else, and nobody understands the dominance. Nobody gets it. But when you repeat, they just got to listen to your shit for another year. That's
they do.
They just have to take it.
I really just wanted to get in the championship game so I could talk. It would have been me and you talking shit to everybody else.
Yeah, I can't believe if you just don't bench at 1 starter, you make it. But I think that was another misstep by Caleb. But I want to break some of the stuff down because I want people to learn. I think a lot of people that are newer to fantasy are watching our shows, but I want to talk about some of the roster moves and stuff. But yeah, I know you were 1 start from you and I being in the final.
Had I kept Palante in the lineup, I would have beat Caleb.
That was a great scheme too. He made a ton of sense there with Cleveland just clinching the day before and stuff.
I wish I would have just streamed him like I had him on the roster, and
I
pulled him, but it was a move, and then we talked about it. You and I talked about it. My move was to bait him into playing another pitcher, and he was watching. I pulled the guy at the last minute that I could.
And then he pulled one of his guys, and he pulled Irvin.
The guy that I
didn't want, and Irvin got blown up too.
And Irvin got blown up, so it was just
No, it was a great strategy. It was a great strategy. It's just to fall one category short, that's going to chap your ass all off season.
It's been fucking chapping my ass. I lost 9-8-1
for sure.
Yeah, but it is good. Like, I'll come back better next year. I'll make some better moves. I'll make some better decisions, so on and so forth. And I gotta compete with you. I gotta win a championship. And I think a lot of the guys feel the same, especially like a guy like Dan who said, "Nah, that's it. I know what I got to do."
I think the biggest thing for Dan was failing. Like, now that he failed that far, like, he made the playoffs last year, so like sometimes it's hard when you have success. It's hard to necessarily see the holes while you're having success.
Right.
It's that first time you don't have success that kind of opens your eyes to like, oh man, I see what I was doing wrong now. And I feel like he's a guy that he learned a lot, and obviously we know he's competitive. So
yeah, and that was me. That was me last year. Coming in.
Yeah, you missing the playoffs. You and Ian missing the playoffs. You could tell woke you back up. And you can also tell players like Dan, Justin, Nine that made the playoffs came back with their weak sauce and they got tossed from the playoffs because you guys improved and basically kicked them. So they're going to be better off now failing too, coming back this year. They're going to realize their flaws.
Yeah, Justin's already saying, I know I can't be this. This can't be it. Dan
he didn't show his team day one. Like, the players that he traded was just terrible. He got what he fully deserved. He probably deserves one more year of torture and missing just for like completely dismantling his dynasty team. But they're going to be upset. Everybody's going to want to get into the playoffs. Like, I enjoyed ending Mac's season again. That was a lot of fun for me.
Right,
I absolutely took a ton of joy in that. Or whatever. So that was good. It's fun to beat Caleb again, even though he had every advantage in the world. It's just you have to understand the matchups and you got to make the moves and you got to have – it hurts. I did not want to lose Jared Jones. Everybody knows that. But I was playing for a back-to-back championship. And when you're doing that, tough roster decisions have to be made. And I didn't think he could help me down the end. So, Nine was quick on the jump, picked him up for next season. Good on him. But, you have to make tough calls. And I feel like I did a good job of that.
Yeah. And this is going to be good. To end the show, I just wanted to give you some flowers.
I appreciate it. For
your back-to-back championship. I'll make sure that you get your winnings expeditiously.
I appreciate it.
And we're going to make some changes to the league. The Scumbag League is our home. And then
listen, it's too important and there's too much stuff on the line for some of the vague stuff. So I'm glad we're going to clean some of it up.
Yeah. And then we're going into the major leagues next year, you and I. So
that's going to be fun. Like, we had a lot to talk about. Do we go in early? Because I don't think we do. I think we're going to want to see some of the early boards and some of the early stuff and being our first voyage run. I do see some benefits in going in early if, we have touted players better than maybe the other stuff. So you and I are going to talk through some things.
Yep. And then we're also, like I said earlier in the show, we're going to be dropping our, fantasy prospect list.
100%.
We're going to be dropping our
White Sox
tier.
White Sox. I just don't think people, to be honest with you, I think they're lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we're going to be doing a lot of that. So be on the lookout for that. I'll make sure I tweet it on my page. You tweet on your page.
Yep. I'm excited to do that. I'm excited. I want to record as much as we can of the voyage running the big contest, what it is, how it works, what the categories are. Let people live vicariously through us. We'll just debate it out right here on the show. So
it's gonna be dope. So, but thank you everybody. Shout out to everybody that tuned in. If you've been here since the beginning, I appreciate you. I know Eric does, and we're gonna keep
rough season, but it's over. It's
rough season for the White Sox. It's over. And I was talking shit earlier. I know I'll be at opening day next year. That's just a ritual.
You love it. You love it.
So I have to go. So it is what it is. Hopefully, there's moves that's made that I'm excited, and I'm like, yes, I want to go.
I think you will be, because I think you're understanding the overall philosophy is so much better than it used to be. So I think you're going to get the moves.
Yeah.
You understand.
All right. Well, we're gonna get up out of here. Thank you, everybody, again. Make sure if you're on YouTube to subscribe, and like what you see and so on and so forth. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Caleb says, gentlemen, right at the end of the show, Caleb, I've already given him his flowers. Once again, congratulations to the back-to-back SBC champ. His opponent just came into the chat. So shout out to Caleb.
And you're right. On the league, Caleb and I told everybody who would be 1-2, and it came true. We told everybody who would be 1, 2, 3, and it came true. So to the people that think they understand, you better pay attention to what me, you, and Caleb are doing, because otherwise you don't understand.
Yep. 1, 2, 3 is me, Caleb. I'm third. Caleb will be second. Eric will be 1.
And, we all knew it from the day we drafted. And I can remember certain people in chat being like, oh, look at those rankings. Like, those matter. What computers are you guys using? They don't matter. They don't matter.
Nobody was using
well, guess what? It came out exactly like we told you it was going to come out. So did they matter, or did you not know anything?
And nobody was using computers. Like, did we use, like, some Fantasy Pro stuff? Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I killed 9 trees for my fantasy draft, printing off prospect stuff. Like, I'm not using any computers. Like,
it's insane. But anyway, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We're going to get out of here. Eric, it's time for you to go home, clock out. 5 o'clock is upon us. So thank you guys, and we're going to cut the lights off in here.
Yeah, enjoy playoff baseball.
Enjoy playoff baseball. It's going to be great. And we'll be talking about it next week. All right, y'all. Thank you.